So do you think the new extra point rule is going to change things much?
Last 2 years, it's been 94%. So if you
From
take
32, 33 yards?
if you take a smaller sampling of recent times, let me just not to. I find it funny that you have said the last few. Well, I mess with a great game, and then you want to mess with 7 or 8 different things that the great game does. But I will just concentrate on the extra point. I think you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change the game. But here's what the NFL's doing. Let me help you here. They made this a 1-year experiment. So I think this won't be the end of it, that they're going to see that, and then they're going to say next year, okay, now everybody's kind of gotten used to we're kicking field goals for an extra point.
Yeah,
let's put it at the 50.
Yeah, they're going to move it back
more. Or let's
more.
move the two thing to make it so enticing for coaches. I come back to what I say all the time. Last year, when you went for 2, it was 47.5. That's 50-50 up, you know. And
Yeah.
I think, but you're right. Coaches are not going to do it. They're going to kick what they think is a safe. What we might see this year is 3 or 4 blocks,
And run back for 2 points.
fumbles, or something like that. Fumbled snap. I think that's going to happen, and I think there's that. That's why the NFL said, let's see what happens here. Let's don't be too dramatic with it. So. And here's the other thought I had coming here today, which is a strange one. You're Chip Kelly. You got that job. They're not going to fire you. You might get fired in 3 or 4 years. That's about the only coach. Tom Landry in his great years, or somebody like that, could say, I'm going to do it. They're not going to fire me. I got a job forever. Do you remember the most famous 2-point conversion in Denver Broncos history?
Ooh, boy.
It was a game in which...
Was Tebow?
It was a game in which... Jay Cutler, there was a wrong call by a famous official who's got pythons.
Ed Hockley.
And
yeah.
against the San Diego Chargers
Right.
here.
It's a night game.
And the Denver Broncos came within 1 point with a touchdown. And what they did, Les, was Mike Shannon, instead of going for the tie and putting it in overtime, went for 2. They converted it, won the game.
Yeah.
And that was about as Mike and I used to talk, and I know you're friends with him. We used to talk about stuff like that, and I'm sure you do. But in San Diego, he once went for a field goal, and it was on the dirt of the infield.
Right, in the old Jack
And I
Murphy.
said, why would you do that? That's a hard kick. And he said, you know, you're right. He said, if I had to do that over again, I would have gone for it on 4th down, because you're right. He said, we're not looking at dirt as opposed to grass. And he said, I think I made a mistake there. So I think coaches don't take everything into consideration, but I would just add one other point to you before we go on to the next thing. Coaches in cold weather cities and domes, warm weather cities, that's going to be a factor in all this. If you're in a swirling wind stadium,
I think this
Meadowlands?
penalizes teams that are in cold weather sites with no domes.
Why?
It penalizes them.
Go for 2.
They're going to have to go for 2.
Sure. And
When the safe thing and the smart thing might be to kick an extra point under normal circumstances. But here you are with swirling winds, and you don't want to take that shot, so you go for 2, and it could cost you a game if you don't score it.
Or it might win a game.
It might win a game.
As much chance as losing
But
a game.
if I'm
50,
Tom
50,
Coughlin, coaching the New York
50.
Giants in an open-air cold stadium,
I go for
I
it.
think that rule
All
works
the time.
against me.
No, I think
Yeah,
you just go
I
for 2.
do.
It works for you. That's where you're looking at half empty glass. I'm looking at half full glass.